The content you're about to enjoy comes from the archives of The Best You. We're devoted to the very best in personal development. With a magazine and resources dedicated to inspiring and changing people's lives. At The Best You, we work with the world's leading writers and trainers on the evolution of the self, and people whose journeys have been affected by their work and words. For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co. So now I'm going to be bringing my next guest, but before I do, I'm going to read very quickly who she is. Doria Cordova is the CEO owner of Accelerated Business Schools, Money and You. This is a program that has inspired some of today's best-known businesses, education and wealth experts, and has touched the lives of millions globally. She is a humanitarian, a philanthropist, an author, and has been in countless online trainings, webinars, podcasts, films, and book series. Most currently, she has developed the Fridays with Doria, which is a weekly global event to support her network and friends. I've actually joined it. I've been to quite a few, and I've got to say, it's an absolutely amazing event with top people attending and a phenomenal networking relationship opportunity. One of her missions is to transform educational systems around the world and eradicate poverty and hunger. Another, the greening of the world. All of these endeavors that she is involved in is in an alignment with, all of the missions that she does. And I've got to say, I'm very proud also that Doria in particular has helped us, helped The Best You. She's brought us some great people like Ken Honda, like Dr. Fabrizio Manzini, great people. But she's just got a massive big heart. And she literally is so well connected. And I want to thank her personally because she's done so much to help us over the short period of time that I've known Doria. Doria, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. My apologies. My internet is acting up today, and I hope that you can hear me well. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you well. Thank you so much. And Doria is also, she's a founder of the TV, The Best You TV. We actually had a conversation yesterday. We're very excited about how we can really impact the world globally with phenomenal, great content. So Doria, thank you so much for everything that you bring, for that big heart that you have. And yes, listen, we're very excited and looking forward to hearing you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And one of the things that I just wanted to share with you, that we're here to continue to build our emotional and also our mental muscles. Man, was 2020 a wild year. And so what I want to do is I want you all to just take a couple of deep breaths with me. I am very happy to be here with you. Let's just take another breath. Thank you, and get ourselves really present. Thank you for really being here with me. I am now talking in English, so I can talk a little bit faster. I did this presentation yesterday in Spanish, so I'm a little bit slower, but not today, because I really want to cover as much information as I can with you. And I wanted to also share for those of you that are here, if you can please really use the chat to connect with people, but also to kind of repeat and take notes of what you're hearing. And then, of course, I always love for people to get to know each other. So do let people know about yourselves. And I believe I have some friends that are going to be helping me out and putting information about what we do. So the chat in all of these events are really, really important. And so one of the things that I'm going to be covering today on how to create an economic engine so that you can be ready for the big recovery. Now, right now, particularly in the United States, with 1 million cases in Los Angeles alone of COVID, people have a tendency to not just go, oh my God, it's like COVID, it's like it's here to stay. And it may, but it will be managed. It will be totally managed. Some people say it's just a strain of the flu. And whatever it is going to be, the biggest thing that we have to watch out for is what is happening inside all of us. So many years ago, over 42 years ago, I attended a business school for entrepreneurs, the only of its kind. It was called the Berkeley Business School. And it was created by my mentors, Marshall Thurber and Bobby DePorter, who had created a company, Marshall Thurber with two other partners. Bobby DePorter came in later. created a real estate development company in San Francisco in the 70s, and they were the ones who saved all those beautiful Victorians. Had they not been there, San Francisco would look very different. So they created a very, very successful, profitable business. But the secret sauce was personal development, consciousness principles. So they were the darling of that movement in the 70s, and they were written up in many magazines, and there were interviews, and people wanted to know how to work there. And they were constantly asking them questions. How did you create this very successful business? And what I am going to show you today, the business success model, is how they did it. The business success model is literally a set of steps that you take in order for you to create a magnificent organization, and whether it's nonprofit or profitable, and to build a business so that you have the level of income, the level of leverage that you desire. And so behind every successful product or service or program, there has to be an organization. But on the other side, you also need to have the leaders, the people who are running it, being very clear on their purpose, on their mission. And I will be talking about that a little bit more. But more than anything else, every human being involved in this has to know themselves very, very well, because there's something really interesting that happens around success and around money. Now, let me just tell you very quickly about the 3 stages of money. You are either in the process of making money, keeping the money that you manage to make, and growing the money that you manage to keep. This is very, very interesting. And this is something that I have seen in my own life. I've been working on myself now it's going to be 45 years this year. So actually in my business, it will be 43 years that I have been involved. And just so you know, I did not create my work. I actually created, along with Bobby D. Porter at the time and other team members, the economic engine. And then Bobby went on to create the Super Camp platform. And 6 years later, I ended up inheriting all the work. That was on July 8th, 1985, and have been doing that ever since. Now, in 1985, when I looked around to see who could be part of my team, there was a young man by the name of Robert Kiyosaki. I love Robert because he had been a Marine. And I needed a team that was going to be able to follow directions and me follow their direction. We were going to create synergy together. And again, I will be covering this in the business success model. But one of the biggest things that occurred that I saw in Robert and other people that came to work for us is that they had all been working on themselves at the time. They had all been working on the different blocks and their deservability level. I want somebody to write that in the chat, deservability level. What happens is in our background, the way that we grow up, we are given literally instructions, constantly being told how much, we might make. And some people were not very lucky as I was. I had a mother, an auntie, a grandmother, and people around me that were constantly sharing with me that I was going to be a success. For me, not being a success was not an option. It was like I was trained from the time I can remember. But many people are not. My mama took me when I was 7 years old to a bank to explain to me what money was. This is very important. Children are constantly learning from their parents, so be careful what you say around them. So very young, I learned about bank. And I'm surprised that my mother was so astute about it, because she actually explained to me that the bank had this special trucks that will take the money to a really big bank that would then invest that money, and they would make a lot more money than we would. Oh my God. That was in the 50s. Very enlightened human being at every level. So what I did was as I was expanding and growing, as we all do, we have to watch what comes up. And this is what I want you to do today. watch your thoughts as I'm sharing different information. Now, particularly for those of you that maybe have never met us before, you may be a little bit stuck in judgment about how I talk, how my hair looks, my nails, and, everything around me. Just stop that. Be with me. Be with me. There is a possibility that I can contribute something to you. There's a possibility that I will say something to you that may change your life immediately, because transformation occurs very quickly. Transformation only takes a second. It takes a second for you to get an idea, for you to go, oh my God, I never heard that before. And the biggest challenge that people have, and please, I love America. I was an immigrant. I'm one of the immigrants that, realized the American dream. And so I love the USA. And one of the challenges about the US is that because it put entrepreneurship on the planet, it has put many different industries on the planet. Many Americans have gone into the relaxed mode. And when you hear that you live in the best country in the world constantly, you can get to have a tendency to think that you know it all, and that this is not just American, this is all over the world. So one of the biggest challenges that we all have is that, I know. Oh, I already know that. Oh, I already know about leverage. I know all about leverage. Are you practicing it? Are you putting it into place? What are the results that you have? Again, I will be covering the model in a couple of minutes. But what I need to do is I need to prepare you to learn, to be able to accept information. And all of us have a brain that is literally like a computer. It has ones and zeros. That's it. It's either right or wrong. There's not a lot in between on what happens in our brain. And I was very, very lucky, because when my mentors put on the first business school for entrepreneurs of its kind in 1978, after so many people wanted to work in that company in San Francisco, you thought I forgot the story. I haven't. So when all these people wanted to work in their company and they couldn't really fit all those people, they went and did research for years on what it took to be an entrepreneur, what made an entrepreneurial company successful, how did it work, and who taught it. They did research for years. And in those days, we didn't have Google. They didn't have Google. They had to do it the old-fashioned way, by writing, going to libraries, and sending people out to find out what was working or not working. And they found out that the top business schools in the world, that at the time happened to be in the U.S., that is no longer a fact. There are other business schools around the world that are as good, if not better, except that U.S. still has the reputation that he has the best. What happened was that they found out that they taught zero about entrepreneurship, zero. And it was then that they decided to do that first business school. And I was a student in that first business school. I learned everything so well. I ended up first assisting, then becoming a partner, and then being and earning the rights to the intellectual property, which I call actually having won the lottery. So now what happened for me here is when I'm going to now start explaining to you the business success model. And by the way, just to go back for a minute, Kiyosaki and I were business partners for 9 years. It was in this very beautiful, this very home here in San Diego, California, that we literally created his future. First, he led all of our accelerated programs, Money and You, the business school, and other programs. We created a program called Creating Wealth Together. He wrote his first book called If You Want to Be Rich and Happy, Don't Go to School, which was later the foundation for the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. And it was Sharon Lechter. It was out of this business model that Sharon Lechter, he knew when he met her that she was the master, the expert that he needed to learn from, work with, and help him build his next level of his business and of his work. So you see, I'm sharing all of this because some of you may not realize that you already have treasures around you. I have a new definition of wealth, which is to have access to. So congratulations for being here. Because through the Best You EXPO TV and all the different platforms that Bernardo and the whole team is creating, you are going to be having access to so much knowledge, so much information, masters and experts, and be able to really create your wealth. So remember, people who don't have a lot of money, people who are constantly talking about being broke. I won't say the word out loud because it's only good for if you break a foot or you break a leg, but people are not broke. They are not. They're temporarily out of cash. So people who are poor, they're resource poor. There are no poor people on the planet, like my friend Lynn Twist, the author of that beautiful book, The Soul of Money, says. We only have resource poor people. But then we take it to another level. We have people who don't have access, but you have access and you better get it. You just go to yourself, I'm so happy to be here. I am so happy to be here because I now getting even more access. Go look at all the booths, go and connect with the people in the chat and just go, hey, I'm here. This is what I do. And then, of course, I'd love for you to connect with us and all the different places that you can find us. And you can find our booth at Accelerated Business Schools. Do that later. Stay with me right now.
If you're interested in finding your true purpose, if you're interested in finding your legacy, if you're interested in growing, if you are sick and tired of reading books that don't help you, haven't helped you, or are not helping you, or attending courses and seminars that haven't really had an impact in your life, I invite you to read my book, The Question, Find Your True Purpose, out now. For more information, go to www.thequestion.co. If you're interested in working with me, contributing, speaking at any of our many events, partnering, or licensing The Best You, for more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.
Now, the business success model. So just think of it as a pyramid, and the bottom end layers, there's going to be different layers. The first layer is learning from experts, learning from masters. And that is what you're doing right now in this platform. You're learning from those of us that have spent decades and decades making mistakes, what Buckminster Fuller, our beautiful Buckminster Fuller calls, learning experiences. So now we can share with you exactly what to do. This is why I want to make sure that you have a clear consciousness, a clear mind to listen to me, because what I'm sharing is from all the mistakes that I and many others that come to teach at our business school, that teach in our Fridays with Doria, that teach in our work have learned. So when you find somebody that's really masterful in this one area, you just listen to that, you apply that exactly as they tell you, and then you begin to learn from your own mistakes, and then you're becoming a master yourself. Because I am sure that you're really good at the next step of the level of the business success model level, which is your niche. That's your next step. What is a niche? A niche is something that you have created in the market that no one else is doing or someone else was doing, and you made it much better. You improved on it. You added certain things to it. So think about when Apple came out, with the first iPhone. It didn't take very long for people to improve on that. And don't get me started about Apple products, because I come from the days when we actually had a store. And if Carol Dysart is on the line, thank you, Carol, because back in 1981, we partnered up with the creators of the work and Carol Dysart and other people, and had the first Apple computer store in San Diego in 1981. So I'm familiar with Apple when they were the best and the best and the best. But guess what? Other people have surpassed them. Okay? So they're good. And I'm in the matrix. I can't get out of it. I have everything Apple. But guess what? I'm not that excited about it because I know that others have improved on their items, but I can't get out of the matrix. So that's another story. Follow me and you will hear all my little gripes about how to get out of this matrix. So now you're learning from masters or experts. You create a niche. The reason you have to create a niche and be very good at what you do And sooner or later, you will be the best. That takes years and decades. But be the best that you can be. And then, I sound like a Marine, right? Be the best that you can be. And then what you are going to do is you're going to do that niche for the marketing masters, because this is very, very important. So in our educational curriculum, we talk about different areas that you have to master: sales and marketing, people and organization, money and finances, and what you are best at. Now, you want to create a niche so that the marketing geniuses, and we learn from people like Jay Abraham. There's a lot of people out there that are fantastic, but the genius, the guy that really put marketing on the planet, was Jay Abraham. He was also one of our instructors, and we took him to Singapore way back in 1994, 95. We love Jay's teachings. They're very simple, and he learned so much from him. He is a master. Now, what you want to do is you want to then create a niche, and then you're going to leverage that niche. Now, I want you all to say leverage. I love leverage. Okay? I want everyone to be saying that and put it on the chat. This will give me a chance for me to have a little bit of my tea. Thank you. And what you want to do is every morning after you do your morning disciplines, when you get up in the morning, you do your meditation, you do your exercises, and then what you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself, how can I best leverage myself? How can I best leverage my product or service, my programs? This is really important, because what most people don't understand, people who don't have accessibility, who are resource poor, who haven't really experienced success or have followed different paths that did not include the many things that I'm sharing with you today as we create our economic engine for the big recovery. Now, that's another thing I needed to come back to. A lot of people cannot believe that there's going to be a big recovery. Yes, there will be. Just say, yes, there will be. This too shall pass. This is really important. Every minute, every hour, you have to be your own cheerleader. You have to be really cheering yourself up. You have to be just like constantly surround yourself with people in environments, in network. Come to Fridays with Doria. I have the best group of people, and we just keep supporting each other. We started last April, and we keep going, because we need to surround ourselves with this beautiful, beautiful people that we can work with, and that we can arise from all this scarcity feelings, all this scarcity that's out there. So now, leverage. How do you leverage yourself? And this is the part where many people, including, Tony Robbins, did Money in You back in 1983. And we were the, we were the first people that put him on an airplane to go and do his firewalk, first in Colorado, in Hawaii. It was so much fun to be around him for a year. You actually will see some of the things that he does, even today. He actually learned at Money in You. One of his favorite words he learned in Money in You was the word distinctions. And also the woof, all that. He took it to a whole other level, of course. But I have to tell you, I remember, even Tony, when he began to learn about leverage, I remember his little brain. The same thing, Paul Mitchell, hairdressing. Sadly, Paul Mitchell, the original partner of Paul Doria, passed away in 1989. He did Money in You in 1980 in Hawaii. And he learned, and Paul Doria shared this with me, he learned leverage and he learned loyalty. This is why you cannot find any Paul Mitchell products except in hair salons and also in hair product places. If you see it anyplace else, they are either not real or they came out of the back of a truck, okay? So then you have also Ben Cohen. Ben Cohen did Money in You actually in 1979 when Ben and Jerry's was still in the garage. And Ben is one of the biggest They are still major humanitarians. They sold their business, I believe, for $250 million or something. And everybody loves Ben and Jerry's. And they are totally socially responsible entrepreneurs, the way I am and many of the people around us are. So there is lots of wealth to create in social enterprise. Okay. Is that new to you? Welcome to our world. Okay. But you have to leverage. This is really, really important because I feel that so many people don't understand this. So I'm going to say something. So get ready because I might offend you. So please forgive me for this. And I know that many of you were doing this before COVID, before the global pandemic. So let's take it before COVID. Okay. So if at that time, you couldn't afford, okay, to fly first class, to go to whatever hotel you wanted to be able to leave your business and know that it was well managed through systems and you had a whole team that was working with you and that you had this beautiful group of people that were absolutely going to be working all your systems that you have set in place, and possibly the business was going to make better money when you were gone because sometimes you get in the way, okay? If you couldn't do that, you do not understand leverage. Okay, please get this. Some of you have been using the word leverage. The three most misunderstood words on the planet are love, leverage, and systems. Usually my conversations always talk about love, leverage, and systems because those are the three words that people use in every language constantly and constantly are misunderstanding that. Don't get me started about love. Love is unconditional. When you go to fridayswithdoria.com, I want you to go to the magical recovery exercises. If you go to resources, you go to fridayswithdoria.com and then look through the different tabs. Under resources, go to the magical recovery exercises. And then you will see this beautiful, beautiful exercises that we have on building up your deservability. Now, again, write that word, deservability, because it's really important. And then you will see that you may be blocking out of the training that you have, out of the multi-generational beliefs that you have built, how to create and build leverage. And there's something really interesting that, and you can download. There's also a place where you can download some gifts. And in there, you will see the definition of Buckminster Fuller's definition of love. And love is very different than many people think it is, because sometimes we have to give tough love. So don't get me started on that. Let's talk about leverage and systems. So now, when you see all the different masters and all the different teachers that have taught about leverage, the one thing that they don't cover is that people have blocks to it and they think they know. So that's why I say, when you say, I know leverage, unless you truly have it in your life. And by the way, this is where I really want to thank everybody at the Best You TV and the Best You EXPO here, because they are creating leverage for you, for me. This is really important for you to constantly be hanging out in platforms, be part of networks that will create leverage for you, that you will have an opportunity to meet many people. Don't just come into platforms like this or go to my Fridays with Doria, or later, if you do my 2-day online program, Evolve XP, we're just launching that. Don't just come in and do other work. There are certain programs where you just have talking heads, that you can kind of space out. With us, you cannot. You need to really be present and listen to every word, because it's really important for you to be able to bring in those things that will hopefully go deep into your unconscious, that will then begin to allow you to clear the blocks that you may have to things like understanding, practicing leverage. And in our Money and You program, for over 42 years, we have been teaching through experiential games how to clear and how to begin to let go of you not allowing yourself to forgive yourself for the mistakes that you have made in the past. Again, we're back to the word you. It's you. You are the center of your universe. For those of us that may be a little bit egotistical, you love that, but we're going beyond that, okay? Beyond that. So the you, the very deep you inside of you, needs to begin to hear that you have been blocking certain things. And one of the biggest one is leverage. How do you create leverage? First, you start actually being involved in income generating activities. Every day you get up in the morning and you do the first thing that you do after you've done your disciplines, your health disciplines, your meditation, and now you're going to go to work. The first thing you do is you say, what are the top 5 income generating activities that I can do? So it's what my friend Bernie Dorman, bless his heart, he's our angel now, the creator of CEO Space. Love Bernie. He left this world last year and we miss him so much. But one of the things he called it, and I love this, now, money, now. So every day we work on now, money, now. But then we also work on 5 things which are going to build leverage for you. So I do it automatically. I do much more than 5. I do. I mean, it's automatic for me to be doing that. I mean, I love Facebook. I love social media, the light side of it. I don't allow for the trollers and negative people. I simply very lovingly say aloha to them, and they're not part of my network. I'm not going to get into arguments with people, nor do I want my people to be arguing. You know, there's this saying that Robert Kiyosaki taught me. I loved it. Don't teach a pig to sing. It annoys the pig and it wastes your time. Okay? So give me some laughs, LOLs there. You thought that was funny. Thank you. I'm going to go see that chat area later. So what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and begin to understand that leverage is key for you, and you doing all those little things every day. 5, first, what are your most important income generating activities that day? And the other one, what are the 5 things that you are going to either send an email, you're going to make a call, you're going to do something that day that is going to create leverage for you. Now, leverage, Money and You is 3.5 days live program. It's that long because it takes that long to learn about it. And in our 2-day program, which the Evolve XP, and you go to moneyandyou.com/Evolve XP, we're launching. Okay, at the end of January, we're launching this program that's only 2 days and it's only 7 hours. It's from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. California time. And the reason is because we want to include our huge Asia Pacific network. My European friends, our apologies, but it might be worth for you to stay late. We will have European hours, I promise you, in the future. We're just launching this program. That will give you an opportunity for you to learn, also begin to learn more and more and more. Clear some of those blocks and learn about leverage. It's going to be as experiential as we can get online. So that's why we call it live. So it's not just talking heads. So now, leverage. I'm spending so much time on it because it's so important. And the way you get leverage done is through systems. Systems, take notes here, systems are duplicatable and they are self-correcting. I want you to hear this. They are duplicatable and self-correcting. You set up systems so that systems will tell you when something needs to be fixed. And your job as business owner or as a manager, and if you're an employee, when you begin to apply the business success model and you bring it to the business owners that you work with, the chances are that they're going to make you a profit sharing partner. This is really important. So now listen, first we learn from experts, from masters, then we create a niche, then we leverage that niche through systems. Just give somebody a high five or give us all a high five and just go, I love systems. Just start practicing that. I love systems, and begin to notice how systematized, how automated, that's another word that they use, is your business. How is it going for you? Do you understand systems? I have a manual called Money Making Systems. Carol Dyson and I wrote that manual together, and it's called Money Making Systems. I am going to be, once you start seeing me in Facebook and you go to dccordova.com and you begin to really see all the different things that I'm involved in, you will see more about money making systems. The manual, I will be launching that after I relaunch my Access to Cash book. And remember, that is my new definition of wealth, to have access to cash, access to investments, access to experts, to masters, to people that can support you when you are down and out. And this is really important. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for being with us at Fridays with Doria. We're there to commiserate and to support each other, we have saved some lives. People have actually written to me and back in April and May and said, thank you for creating this platform, which, by the way, evolved. I didn't create the name. Somebody said, oh, let's go ahead and meet again next Friday, Fridays with Doria's and Friends. And I went, oh, my God, that is such a good title. So sometimes people around you will give you the best ideas. Allow the support. But then when you begin to see something that's working, you create a little engine around it. You create a system around it. You go and it wasn't appropriate for me to monetize Fridays with Doria's in the middle of a pandemic. It's not. I create my own wealth from other things. But guess what? My tribe is prospering. They're doing better. They're meeting each other. They're working with each other. We're bringing people. We have people like David Fagan and Isabel that are also part of the Best You. And, and he spoke, and go ahead and see if you can find it. They're masters at creating masterminds for us to support each other and how to plus our businesses, our organizations. That's why I chose to relaunch my book, Access to Cash, with them, because it's really important to surround yourself with people who are really masterful at what they do. So now we're going to move into systems. Systems are really important as we begin to build our economic engine. And the next step is having an aligned team. Now, there are two things that are really hard in life and in business. That's dealing with people and marketing. I already told you about marketing. Marketing, we have all kinds of beautiful graduates of Money and You. I think of Alex Mendoza and, I think of his name here in a minute. He has a beautiful name. These are all the marketing people that are Money and You graduates and have been around us. And marketing is like science. It's like rocket science. You have to really know all the different formulas, what you're doing. This is something that I immediately admit. I am not good at marketing. You have to be willing to admit what you're not good at. By the way, make a list of what you're not good at during this global paradigm shift. And don't, unless you are financially independent and you're already wealthy, which quite a few people that are watching this are, you have the time and the money to go ahead and get good at what you're not good at. The rest of you, this is not a good time to start doing things that you're not good at. This is a good time to focus on what you're good at, create systems around it, you create work around it, you create income generating activities around it, and to build leverage and to create leverage. Because now this is the time for you to be moving into actually creating an aligned team, which is key. Now, if for some reason I keep talking about Carol Dyson this time, it's probably because she has been helping me. Thank you, Carol and Sharon. What I want you to know is that there are sciences and there are systems. Carol is a master at DISC, which gives you the different personality types, the drivers, the influencers, the inspirational, the people that are really going to be supporting us. I make up my own word for DISC. S for system, steady. C for compliance. I call them completers. So the four different personality types are people that you need to have in your teams. I don't want to go into a lot of details, but as you hang out with me, you're going to learn more about how much I love this profile. This is something that you need to understand the different personality styles.
If you're interested in watching the video content of this interview and many others, or interested in learning from world leaders and teachers, go to www.thebestyou.online.
But more than anything else here, you also have to know yourself. Because the more that you know yourself, the more that you have done self-discovery, the more that you begin to notice what your blocks are, your deservability levels, the more that you will begin to really notice it very quickly on others. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and begin to use all the different tools. I'm giving you all these different things, and everything you can find, really, you can go to moneyandyou.com. That's where you can download the book on the business success model. You can go to DC Cordova. .com. You can go to fridayswithdoria.com. You can go to my Facebook. You can find me everywhere. You can just Google my name, and I got a lot of pages in Google, and you can find all kinds of different ways of learning with me. But more than anything else, keep being here right now. Right now, you chose this day for you to be in the Best You EXPO and learn from all the different masters, because these are the people that are going to help you build your team, your aligned team. Now, these are the people that you need to have a clear purpose. My purpose is to uplift humanity's consciousness through socially responsible businesses. One of my missions is to transform educational systems around the world and eradicate poverty and hunger. That is key. That is key, because we don't want to have poverty in the world. Let me tell you something. The reason you want to help me eradicate poverty and hunger is because it's profitable for you. You can create businesses that can solve world problems. Did you know that? Did you know that being a social entrepreneur is really profitable? Why do you think all those big guys that all of a sudden have become really big lovers of humanity, why do you think they're doing it? It's good for business. It's good for their reputation. I actually was born this way, and many of the people I hang out with were born this way. And by the way, people have asked me, I have worked with many beautiful leaders in the world. My first one, well, I don't know if he's beautiful. He was the one that had a great impact on me, because he was actually known as a terrorist and known as a very bad man. But I also wanted to sit across someone that was so famous in the world so that I could prove to myself that all of these beautiful consciousness principles worked. That man was Fidel Castro. I met Fidel Castro at the height of the Cold War in 1984. Have I got your attention yet? So one of the things that happened with Fidel Castro is that I saw that what the transformation that occurred for me afterwards. By the way, I'm going to do a whole program on that, because the story is out of this world. It was like a movie. Let me tell you something. Remember the old Mission Impossibles? Remember that? Where you could hear all the people when they walk on those, what looked like marble floors, and the military guys. It was exactly like that. All right? Anyway, don't get me started on that, because my whole hour will go on to that. But what I learned was leverage through very influential people, and always find out who is the power behind the power. Then what I want you to do is I want you to identify those leaders and go and find them and transform them and introduce them to your industry. Not so much to your work, but your industry, what you take a stand for, what you are about. And then it is those people that then will go ahead and support you and give you so many distinctions and introduce you to many influential people. And that's what I met Fidel Castro in 1984. It wasn't until I met Janet Hay in 1989, so that's 5 years later, got to know her better by 1990, where I met my first ultimate leverage person that literally opened the Asia Pacific world for me. Thank you, Jacqueline Ciel, for having introduced me to Jenny Tay. And Jenny Tay was the person that when she saw what my purpose and my mission was, she began to introduce me to all these magnificent human beings that were so successful, billionaires, heads of industry. And it was there that I began to meet people that were the ministers of education, the ministers of trade, the ministers of all kinds of different industry. And they always had this question: is an entrepreneur made or is an entrepreneur born? Well, this is the answer. There's a third one, which is an entrepreneur can be discovered. They can discover for themselves, or they can be discovered in a program. That's what we do in the Money and You program in our business school for entrepreneurs. A lot of people come along because they are very successful employees and they're thinking about going for business for themselves. Then they attend Money and You, our business school for entrepreneurs. And now I know they're going to learn this in our 2-day Evolve XP program. Whether they're truly made to be entrepreneurs or not. There's nothing wrong with being an employee, you guys. My old partner used to make them real wrong. I used to say, Kiyosaki, don't make employees wrong. There are some real rich employees. If you're part of a profit-sharing company and you take the business success model to them, you are most likely going to become a very valuable employee. So what you want to do is you want to understand that either an entrepreneur is born, it is not made, or as an entrepreneur is discovered. So you need to discover that. And if you're not an entrepreneur, no worries. You can work in a team with a freaking rock star entrepreneur and be a profit sharer. So this was worth you watching the show, right? So lastly, what you want to do, so mission and then rules of the game. And so right here, which way am I going? This way. So right here, you have the rules of the game, the fruit bowl. This is what my whole work is on. Buckminster Fuller is on this side and the fruit bowl theory of business. When you create a context and you create the content, and in there you have the purpose, the mission. Oh, another one of my missions is the greening of the world, because those are the two key things to make a world work for 100% of humanity. You either, you need to educate the world, brand new education, which is what this platform, the Best You EXPO, the Best You TV is all about. It's all about bringing beautiful people and giving them a lot of education in a very entertaining way. And then we need to green the world. Old-fashioned, the old way is very old, very, very old. It's ancient. To when we have the sun, when we have the wind, we have water, we have the oceans that can provide the most beautiful energy, sufficient world that will eradicate poverty and hunger. You need to understand this, how important this is. So when we talk about that it's important for us to be part of the Paris Accord, our very survival is part of it. And please know this, a lot of the politicians and people around the world who look like they are against oil and or they love oil and they want to hang on to the old industries, they are investing big money in green technologies. I know this for a fact. And that pisses me off. And this is why I'm telling you right now, because they act like the old industries are the ones and they're moving their money from oil into green technologies. Don't get me started on that. That's another hour. So lastly, as you can see, to build a very, very, very aligned team, purpose, mission, rules of the game. How are you going to participate together? That's what the fruit bowl is all about. How are you going to participate together? How are you going to play together? That was the number one thing. The core of our work is the rules of the game and loving people. We're going to love them up. Love, leverage, and systems. And the last two steps of the business success model we create synergy together. That's what we're creating together. We're creating synergy together. All the people that you are now connecting to here in this expo, all the people that I'm connecting with. Thank you, Bernardo. Thank you, team, for connecting me with these beautiful human beings that are so much are helping me answer back Mr. Fuller question. And this is what I always like to start completing my talks with. How do we make the world work for 100% of humanity? Through spontaneous cooperation in the shortest possible time, without any ecological offense or the disadvantage of anyone. I want you to go to my Facebook and download that particular verse, because this beautiful human being, Buckminster Fuller, asked that question of us many years ago. He left this world in 1983, and he was all about making the world work for 100% of humanity. I have very successful friends who tell me, I love you, Doria. You're such a sweetheart. But this whole thing that you have about making the world work for 100% of humanity is crazy. It's insane. You don't understand. Human beings will never do that. You know what? Maybe it won't happen in my lifetime. But I do know that I've been working on this since Buckminster Fuller. I met him in 1977 when I was a young 27-year-old. He transformed my life. And the Hunger Project gave me purpose. It gave me vision for a world that was for 100% of humanity. By the way, I didn't hear that until decades later, that question. I mean, I saw that he was about that, but I didn't hear it for a long time. But we heard many other things that he had to teach us. And because we can surround that with an economic engine that I just shared with you, with the business success model, you can actually answer and solve many world problems and having tremendous wealth. And I know that if you're listening to this and you're riveted by this and you love all these people that I am introducing you to, that Bernardo's introducing you to, and being healthy. I mean, right now, I just love my co-founding friends. By the way, I hope that you find that panel. Go watch us, because we're all working, on health. What a niche right now. Do you realize that people are going to be interested more than ever on health products, on how to boost your immune system? How do you think I have this kind of energy? No, it's not plastic surgery. It is immune system products. It is meditation, working on myself, affirmation, surrounding myself with the most beautiful people, the most beautiful networks, and constantly transforming that fear. And this is where I love Tony. Fear into power, fear into love. Oh, the beautiful teachers. He just passed away, that beautiful doctor. That how do you use fear in order for you to love up everyone around you? So what I want you to know is that if you use these products, if you use this question to develop your products, your businesses, your teachings, your whatever it is that you're selling, you can even create so many physical things that can answer that question. You never, never, never want to hurt another human being. You never want to hurt the environment. Ultimately, for those of you in real estate, I have to say this. For those of you in real estate, really focus on providing homes for the homeless, on providing homes for people that may be resource poor, on providing home for people that are wanting to build the American dream that they have been taught. That American dream is a little bit old. And yes, it is good to own your own home. I have to say that because my home has been my business partner many times, So what I mean by that, when I have needed money to influx into my business, I refinance my home. I have to admit that it has been the best business partner ever. So then I can, own my own business and do whatever it is that I want. I am starting to move a lot more into philanthropic and into humanitarian work. And more, my foundation is being launched officially this year, the Doria Cordova Foundation, because I've been supporting many beautiful organizations. I even, with our friend Letitia Wright, we created Adopt a Homeless. For all these people that are doing all this work, I want to be able to have that. So I am at that age where I am now moving into a whole other paradigm, which that's what you get to do after you've been doing something for decades. But you also need to stay healthy. You need to stay wealthy. You need to work on your deservability level. And you need to be able to provide product and services that will solve problems, not create problems. Because ultimately, like Buckminster Fuller said, we have a phantom captain inside of each and every one of us. And that phantom captain is the one that knows when we do things in integrity or out of integrity. And those spiritual practices that I've been telling you about, and all those beautiful spiritual teachers and mentors that have been meditating, praying, chanting, all of us getting together. Let me tell you something. 2020 could have been a lot worse had we not had squillions of people bringing love, bringing light, bringing energy, bringing the true truth to the world, which is that each one of us is responsible for how we make our own world and the world beautiful. Thank you for listening. Thank you. If you're here this long, I so thank you for everything that you do. And Bernardo, thank you for coming in, because I love this platform and I love what you're doing and accelerating my own purpose. Aloha.
For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.